Hello, welcome to day one of week 7 of split 2 of the 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I am proud to be joined by Bryce, Booch Paul, and Jake Tiberi. How are you, gentlemen?
How are you? You got a haircut and a beard trim.
I got a haircut and a beard trim.
And you have no glasses on.
I'm a different person.
You're a baby-faced Nick.
Yeah,
Little baby Nick.
So I'm all, well, I was about to say all grown up. I'm not. I'm growing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look Benjamin
great.
Button of the esports world.
Thanks, buddy.
That's all right.
Thank you very much. I am happy to be back. We were just saying, just before we came on, week 7, we're basically
Already?
finished.
Yeah, pack it up.
It's tragic.
End the season right now.
I mean, you've given up. You used to wear collared shirts.
Exactly right. Now I'm just here to. I'm literally what I was on the track. I played on.
The great unwashed traveling towards the studio. You're a train guy.
I'm a plane guy, not a
No,
train
you're a
guy.
train guy in that jacket.
In that jacket, you're an empty carriage sit next to a rusty train guy. Bryce, you look lovely. You got holes in your jeans. I've got ramen on my shirt. I don't know if you could tell, but this is a relevantly recent spill.
There it is.
That right there
You couldn't
is
change
the
shirt.
best ramen in Sydney. So yeah, there you go. Well, I could have changed shirts.
We
but
have
then
many shirts.
we had a massive meeting, and I never actually left this room. So there you go.
Okay.
Welcome to the OPL. I'm excited to be back. Excited for another weekend of esports.
Oh, yeah.
Of course I am. You're not?
No, I am. This is a pretty telling week, and we have some exciting games coming up as well. And that battle for Gauntlet is getting real close. With the 2-0 last week from Gravitas, and then where Direwolves order, and I think Bombers are still positioned. Not to mention, a bit of a shaky weekend for Avant. Rusty's not on the couch, so I feel safe saying this. The big muscly man can't come and get me. But 0-2 week from Avant Gaming puts them back in the race to, one more bad week, and the arse falls out of their season, to be frank.
Yeah, and then you have Bombers on the up and up. Multiple coaches, we've been seeing it. Last week, they looked super scary. Gravitas keeping their dreams alive with the 2-0 week, as you mentioned. So it's getting interesting as we track onwards.
Absolutely. And as we said, we're heading towards the end of the split. And while it's disappointing because it means soon we're out of League of Legends, it is exciting because we are headed towards Gauntlet and we are headed towards the MEO, which we want you to come along to. It is in Melbourne. It is in the second best city in the country. The Melbourne Esports Open. Head to melbourneesportsopen.com.au/tickets to pick up yours. It is a full weekend of esports, the best sports, and League of Legends featuring proudly and largely there. Hell of a good time last year. Excited to be back. You and I are going to be spending a lot of time together doing just weird things.
Do you know the thing?
Eating a couch?
Yeah, not only that, I got the hotel request through.
Oh, yeah?
I think we might be sharing a room.
I think we are bunking as well.
So we're going to have a couch. Maybe we'll bring the hotel couch.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should bring that bed we'll share. Because, things, it's tight around here at the moment. We should bring the hotel couch.
I feel like you two, out of everyone on the show, you're going to get the best sleep together in a hotel room.
Oh,
no,
we
kids?
did it last MEO. It was the best. It was like we would walk. It was like we're out, we're seeing everyone, we're having fun. The night ends. We're like, you want to head back? Yeah, let's head back. Go back. Chatting in the Uber, whatever, and then walk through the front door, both just and down. And it was just, oh my God, it was the deepest of sleeps.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
See you later. Lights out.
If you want to come and sleep with us, melbourneesportsopen.com.
We're at this hotel. I'm going to be in room 124.
Yeah, you can buy tickets to anything these days. Speaking of anything, let's take a look at the schedule of the games that we have coming up for you this evening. Game number 1, Bombers versus Gravitas. Then it is Order taking on Mammoth. Legacy up against the Chiefs. And finally, Avant Gaming looking to right the ship against the Direwolves. And you never know what the Direwolves are going to bring. So that, for me, is probably the most exciting game of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that sentiment. I think that when you have a look at what the Direwolves is, they've played a couple of different rosters. I don't know whether they're going to play Totoro today, but that looks like their most successful roster. And I think that this is a team that, if it finally clicks, I feel like they're in the Bombers conundrum, where the Bombers clicked, and now they look scary. But they have the pieces, but it's just not meshing all that well. But if it does, then they can look like a scary lineup.
The ceiling is there, but it's just not happening in the order, right? You want things to be falling apart at the start, and you really put it back together. But this was week 6, I guess week 5 and 6, they bring in Corporal after Totoro had some pretty successful weeks, I think, and then they lost a couple of games. Now trying to right that ship is certainly not the time frame they were looking for.
And what did you make of Avant's losses last week? Because you're someone that knows something about the game.
And losses?
No, he doesn't. He didn't.
Yeah,
lose.
No. I mean his current state.
What?
Oh, you just moved to Sydney, you bought a bed, and now the riot's about,
Yeah,
like,
man.
League of Legends is about to end for the year.
Yeah, I don't know. It's timing-wise, yes, they're in this really weird situation where identity-wise, they've greatly shifted from like split number one, and then like a bunch of their wins were with like Sybil and the sub roster at the start of the season, right? I feel like their season is at like this weird progression where like, yes, they were looking at like the top dogs, and now, you know what I mean? Like coming into it, they just need to like get back on the same page, gel together, and the points of weakness are not really where you'd be expecting it. I feel like Chippy's had some very rough games. I think side laning, that has been his like biggest strength for literal years. He won an OPL MVP performance off being like a scary side lane threat, and if that is falling apart, then it does look rough for the AV guys.
All right, agree. Now, look, we are here for a bunch of League of Legends, but that doesn't come free to you. We want something in return, and in return, for all the entertainment you'll get tonight, we want your budget cosplay. We want you to put together the worst possible cosplay imaginable. There are some examples there from last year's competition. Some excellent entries. We've already got some brilliant ones. Please send them in to @OPL on Twitter. You can DM the Twitter. You can reply to the tweets that are already up there. You can send them to me directly. Jake wants to say something.
I just want to throw a spanner in the work and say, you know what? Maybe put some effort in this year. Like,
What
I know
are you
it's
talking
called budget cosplay.
Look at what's happening here. That is more creativity than just like...
Budget cosplay means don't go out and spend a lot of money. It doesn't mean spend 5 minutes. Like, time is free, people. Especially if you're sitting here watching this show. Like, the standard needs to lift. I'm not happy. I'm not happy judging that contest.
I'm really surprised, given the only piece of team merch was an order hoodie, and Jake's just like, these all suck. What are you doing?
No,
And
the
it's like,
order.
oh,
But that's the thing.
okay,
The order
sure.
hoodie is an expensive piece of merchandise that should not have upside down what looks like bottles that I assume still has dregs in them flowing through the order merchandise.
That's true.
As I said, time is free, especially if you're watching the OPL. Put some effort in.
Put some effort in, but not too much effort, and make sure you do it before the show tomorrow. If you do put in that effort, we're going to give away not just one HyperX headset, not 2, not 3, but 4 HyperX gaming headsets to 4 of the best budget cosplayers. I mean, that is 4 times the amount of prize that we gave away last year.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's
expecting
even
4 times the
easier to
amount
get a headset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can do even less, and we want you to do less. We want it to be the most budget of the cosplays. Even though, I mean, you want effort, I want creativity.
I think the goal
and I
should
want
just be-
100% more nipple.
No, it's not a difficult goal to be the 4th best worst cosplay.
That's true.
Surely that is achievable.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
like you don't
That's-
even
that's
need to
the
be the
barrier.
top 3,
Yeah.
which is how all sport is judged. Is the top? I mean, except for TFT, I can't think of basically anything else
Yeah.
where they're
OPL.
like, oh, 4 is where you
Top
win.
5 is fine in the OPL.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's true as well. All right, esports is just weird. And then finally, the last thing we're asking for this weekend is your Ask Nick Boys, your Nick bags. Send them in to asknickboy@gmail.com. Do you have a theme this time? Last time you wanted to hear from parents. We got some parent questions.
I don't have a theme today.
You don't?
You've hit me on the spot. Actually, do you know what I would like to hear about?
What do we do with the thing?
Yeah.
Tell us
He's
about
a
the theme,
professional.
Jake.
He could roll with the punches.
You right over there?
Yeah, I'm having a good time. I don't know about you.
I want in-depth question
Yep.
about TFT builds because I have heard, word on the street, there is no match history in TFT.
There is not.
And a person on this couch
Uh-oh.
has taken great issue with that account
Yep.
and created a manual match history with notes.
Would it be the spreadsheet goblin?
It is the spreadsheet
Yeah.
goblet Bryce Paul. So I have it on good authority from Bryce. He said before the show, ask me anything about any composition.
Yeah, okay,
I'll tell you a
exactly.
percentage chance to win.
Yeah.
So if you have any TFT questions, I think that, get them to Bryce.
Did you see that Volibear got nerfed?
Yeah,
And along with the assassins.
yeah. Assassins.
Yeah, Akali
I mean,
got
Guns-
that.
My go-to. Yeah, Akali. Yeah.
This was
Akali
really
got
not a
nerfed.
good patch for me. My tattoo is starting to really fade into irrelevance in multiple aspects of League of Legends.
All right. Well, send in your Ask Nick Boys to asknickboy@gmail.com. We'll get into those later on. But first, we have some League of Legends for you. That is Rusty and Pulse and the Macca's Champ Select.
What are you playing in TFT, Rusty?
I'm not playing TFT.
You're not playing TFT?
No, I refused to play that game until Ninja Assassins got nerfed. There was no reason to
been
play
nerfed.
that game. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll start to play TFT now, won't I?
I mean, you
Pulse?
could be
That's
playing right now, Rusty. What are you doing?
Working on the
That's fair.
OPL.
Uh,
You're here.
that is true. That is true. But I'm always here. I don't move. Right?
Yeah, true,
They don't
right.
let me go. The broadcast ends.
We're
The lights
chained at
turn
the
off, and
ankles
I'm
down
still
here.
here. I don't get to leave. These players do. Gravitas
do.
and Bombers. I read that Pabu is apparently sick. That's
Yes.
what I heard. I
Both
also
of these teams are from
told him
Melbourne.
to stay away from me.
Yes. So he's had to catch the plane up here, which is how we know that Pabu is sick. Both teams being
Does
Melbourne-based.
he look
but
sick?
it's
He's
the sinus sickness.
I would say that he's more pale than usual,
Yeah.
which is a sign of sickness.
He's in the shade, though, as the lighting is right now. He's hiding in the corner. So
That
maybe
is
he
true.
is distancing
He is
himself from the
slouched.
players.
Yeah.
We should take a second here, Pulse, before we continue to analyze Pabu's stance, to note that we are on patch 9.14.
We are the crazy patch, Rusty.
It is indeed. And it's not just the crazy patch. Mordekaiser disabled, Talia and Jace disabled as well globally due to some bugs that are impacting
That
the
make
game.
you freeze your screen.
And that's a lot of champions that have been removed. And when you actually think back to week 6 of the OPL, that's a lot of Bombers focus that has actually been taken away. Mimic's a very good Jace player, but Talia was actually one of their flex picks that was helping their drafting strength. So removing that the day before could be really tragic for the Bombers and their planning. It's something that we'll have to see, of course, as we get through this draft phase. But right now, as the bans start to come through, the things that you'll start to see more of is actually, in my opinion anyway, some of the things you're seeing from Gravitas on the red side. You know, the 80 carries with all the supports that have been nerfed. Different duos rise to fruition as like a bigger deal. And this is already different from Bombers.
Yeah, Jake was just saying that his Hattie was fading into obscurity, but a literal first pick in our first game of the weekend, Akali, from presumably Ryoma, but we've seen it from Mimic as well. They've also banned Kiana, Renekton, Yasuo.
Yep.
As I look at Rusty writing down the bans, Gravitas have banned Ola, you got it?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, yeah.
Karma,
And Zaya.
and Zaya. You know how to spell that?
I do. Z-Y-R-A.
Exactly. Gravitas picking up Lucian and Silas.
Yeah, good priority
a
champions.
Y.
It's also something taken away from Bombers. Their Lucian early rotation is something that they could also flex towards the mid lane for Ryoma. So again, trying to remove as many flexible options for Bombers as possible in the start of the draft. Something that has made them exceptionally powerful to deal with. Blue side or red side, it doesn't matter. As it doesn't matter, in fact, they will still be able to pick those flex champions. And Sejuani is up if they would like to actually lock that in with the Aurelia and the Akali.
Just gonna say that. I mean, you have like the perfect setup right here. Akali and Irelia locked in. And I'm just gonna say the same thing as you, literally word for word. Will they pick up Sejuani? It would definitely make a lot of sense with this.
Because the thing is, like, Sejuani is obviously really good with Aurelia and with solo lane, with melee solo laners,
Yeah.
like the Aurelia, but their opponent's already locked in something like a Silas, which has been well known, just widely regarded as like better Sejuani regarding jungle 1v1 matchups. So maybe that's what they're looking at right now. They want some early pressure through the jungle role. Wilder now has a bit more onus on himself, a bit more freedom to make plays around the early game on the Rift. Look for those early ganks and creative pathing that is always possible from a rec site.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some Silas picks very early just throw a huge spanner in the works. I think back to a certain Avant game where Silas literally just took every ultimate that was a little bit Monkeras. So Gravitas going to pick up the Yumi, just made it all the way through to the last pick on the first phase
Yeah.
for Gravitas.
And so we have very different types of draft priorities here right now for Bombers. 2 solo laners and a jungler for Gravitas, bottom lane, and a flex pick. And the reason that Silas is a flex pick now is because on patch 9.14, when you cast your first E, it now gives a shield again. But it's a magic shield. It's not a physical shield or like all-capturing shield. So Silas is back to solo lanes. I would say primarily a mid laner again, but can still go to other areas of the Rift. And so that is one of the things that now makes Silas such a powerful pick again. And, you know, LCK yesterday, they played some Silas in mid lane, looked really good. So that's something to look forward to in this game potentially for Hayri.
Now, Bombers banning away the Skarner. Going to have Northless ban as well. I was also looking at some statistics, and of course, you know, the first thing I went to was how Alawi is doing worldwide. 22% win rate.
22.
Yeah.
Didn't she get buffed?
Yeah. And that first buff. It's a little bit unlucky. I think the last pick was in the Japanese league. And
Oh, wait,
and it was a loss.
competitive win rate or solo queue?
Competitive.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, you have some positives to look forward to, such as the Chiefs playing
It's true.
sometime today.
Yeah, I hear a
Swiper
certain
is
player.
one of the few Alawi gods that run around on the Rift. And it did get buffed.
It did get buffed. I think it's legitimately strong, but from the apparently 9 games that have been played, not doing so well. Azir pickup here, or ban away, I should say, here from Bombers, and Ezreal as well. Pretty stock standard, to be honest.
Yeah. This is one of the flexes having to be revealed potentially from Gravitas, though the Vladimir can go into multiple lanes as well, top lane or mid lane. So all you're really getting from this is we want to see what the Bombers are going to pick, but it is their bottom lane, regardless, right? Vladimir now into the Akali or into the Aurelia. I wouldn't say are ideal matchups in any world, but they are still viable. You know, the goal is to survive. As Bombers, speaking of surviving, have decided to go back to the Sona Tahm Kench.
Yeah, bit of a throwback. I mean, we were just talking about the fact that, like, you know, potentially the worldwide bans on champions may be affecting the Bombers, and they just say, you know what? Sona Tahm Kench. That's our bottom lane.
And this is something that has still been seen here and there around the world, just not nearly as often. It's not like a must-pick ban type of combo. And so I am very curious to see how this performs. They are against a Lucian and a Yuumi who can punish quite hard and have a decent amount of sustain themselves. And, you know, for me, I look at this game and I think that Rek'Sai could go for an early gank into any of the lanes, but would want to focus the solo laners primarily. Would want to get that side ahead. And now you've got a Tahm Kench who was changed on patch 9.14. I would say is the same strength in laning phase, maybe a little bit weaker out of lane. And the Sona, which you would say is currently going to be on the weak side of the Rift for them, where they get the least amount of attention from their jungler. Against the Lucian, Yuumi, and a Sylas, I feel like that's a really dangerous game the Bombers have opted into here by draft. But if it succeeds, if they get past the early stages of laning, say level 6, like the 2 points I'd be most afraid of is a level 3 dive and level 6 spikes. Once they get 6, they're probably actually in a really good spot.
Yeah, there obviously is risk associated with the thing they've drafted here. It's also worth mentioning that, like, you know, Bombers playing into Gravitas. Gravitas have been picking up a couple wins themselves, but are still near to the bottom of the table when a lot of teams regard Bombers right now as a team that have, as the couch was saying, clicked and have looked pretty strong in all of their games for the last, like, couple weeks, to be honest. So, you know, using that and then offsetting the competition, you feel like this should be able to work out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way I see it is Gravitas are on the up. They've got 2 wins in a row now, but Bombers are, as you mentioned, like they're just widely regarded as a scary team right now. Their draft makes it very hard to play against them, and this is another example of the unpredictable drafting that you can get.
Yeah, we've got Soul Strikes with us. Do you consider yourself a scary person, Soul Strikes?
In draft, yes.
What about on the street? If you were just like in an alley and
No.
someone walked in there, would they instantly turn around, or what would their reaction be?
Nah, I'm just like a normal Asian guy. So like
Yeah, we're not known for our, you know, scary prowess. But yeah, talk to us about how drafting was this week, because we were just talking about the fact that, like, global bans like Talia, that type of stuff, whether it would have affected you guys
yeah,
specifically.
so like not going into too much detail, but like we historically played both Jace and Talia, so it kind of hit us, but we've been preparing like other stuff, and it's good that well, it's not good that we got like 5 bans against us, but we get to play what we want to play.
And let's continue to talk about champions for a bit. We don't have to talk about too much strategy, right? But patch 9.14, it's the first week that we'll see the OPL on this as well. And I would have said, as a coach, it's a pretty big patch, and there's a lot of potential things to come up. Have you noticed, like, in this patch that your practice during the week has been a bit more crazy, trying things, or did you just really know from the get-go what you wanted to play?
I definitely think like a lot of like new champs like got like niche things like Renekton and Kled, like those kind of like anti-healing and true sight from Morgana and Karma. It's definitely interesting, but I don't think it impacts like the overall main champions of the meta. So it'll be quite interesting like what the next step for Riot patch it will be.
I mean, one of the champions that you have gone for this game is the Tahm Kench down in bottom lane. He is one of the few champions that did see some touch-ups, I would say. Do you think that for Tahm Kench it was a overall buff or nerf, or is he just a little bit different now?
I think the playstyle before, he could play a lot more aggressively. He could slow, then eat up, devour people.
Yeah.
But right now he's more of a supporting champ that he has to like save his ally. So you'll see less Tahm like aggressively eating people or like stunning people. So I think it's a good change.
Are there any champions that you think could be like a big curveball? You know, like we've seen like the shield breakers, that type of stuff. Do you think that someone will just throw it out, or like the overall meta, like worldwide, will just not change?
I think like this is, like I said before, like it's like a small patch that I think Riot's a bit experimenting on. I think like the Gauntlet or possibly like the World patch, I think they're gonna speed things up and change drastically.
And I think one last question I'd want to ask is, looking at the game that is on our screens, how do you think Bombers best want to win this one against Gravitas?
We want to play through topside and just let Kama scale up, Sona scale, and yes.
Not a
And
bad
top
start.
Yeah, so if our 3 top laners are strong, then Sona can support them, and our sides are really strong, then we can group up way quicker, and that makes Sona pick more valuable for us.
Hasn't this happened every time we interview you? It feels like we get first blood while you're being
Something
interviewed.
happens, but sometimes that one time I said, hopefully something doesn't happen. Something didn't happen.
That's fair. All right, well, we'll let you go. Congratulations on first blood, and good luck.
All right, cheers.
Bombers early games, man. Since Split 1, there's always been something going on with Bombers in the early game, so it's not a big surprise. You know, adding Wilder to the roster instead of Balkan, who was here, you know, rookie of the Split, doesn't seem to have changed the mantra of the team regarding the early aggression that we see out of the entirety of the roster.
Yeah, case in point was to just take a look at mid lane. Irelia pushing into Vladimir. And yeah, first blood going over to the Akali. I mean, obviously we know how Ryoma is with the champion, but we've seen one performance out of Mimic so far as well. The fact that they can use Akali as a flex is quite a big deal, to be honest. And yeah, first blood is going to help a ton.
Absolutely, and you know, Akali's also one of those champions that has seen a bit of change. We asked Solstrax about the Tahm Kench. I agree with him in that, you know, fundamentally Tahm Kench is no longer just a big alpha down in the bottom lane who just bullies people constantly. You're a little bit more supportive. You play a little bit more passively, but overall the lane kind of feels the same. So no surprises there. However, with the Akali, I would say you can play lane a little bit more aggressively now, as you actually go for the Emax second from what I've been seeing around the world. It does more damage now, and the W returns pretty much all of your energy at level 1.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big shifts that you're seeing now, a little bit more poke in lane due to the energy return at level 1, and the ability to output a bit more, I would say, scaling damage.
Now, here's my question for you, Rusty, because I threw it at Soul Strikes, and you kind of already asked him the same question, but it was basically that sketch in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was just like, yeah, but did you kill him?
Yeah.
So do you think there's like a specific champion that's just going to like appear now? It's just going to be like worldwide picked? Because you can't escape from me, so.
No, I can't. I could escape for the moment if this gauge was on. So what I'll say, right, is that the 4 fundamental mechanics that Riot put into the game in this patch, like more defined, I would say, like shield breaking, I think made Renekton like a pick ban champion. I would say that Kled having grievous wounds made him a pick ban champion. And I think through all of that, like top laners, we'll see so much more of now. As a result of that is Renekton and Kled. And I think, like honestly, I think globally we'll start to see a lot more of those two. So to answer your question, top lane.
Top lane. I mean, music's my ears. You can take a look at Wilder. He's going to see Gravitas starting off the Dragon, down to about 50% HP right now. And I think just Wilder there by himself, bot lane being able to rotate was enough to send Gravitas packing right here. Reddit also having control of lane probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, Vladimir being in base with no teleport, having run the exhaust, of course. Whilst the exhaust might have saved his life, he doesn't have the ability to get back to lane. Now, one thing that I think is worth noting is we've seen a couple of Vladimirs running through the OPL. Some of them don't go teleport, but you know, as an example, a player like Triple, when he doesn't go teleport, will go unsealed spellbook. Because that's his way of still having the teleporter, you know, having the ghost instead of, you know, something else like a phase rush to compensate for your team fight strengths. But Hayri's gone for exhaust and phase rush, which to me means that, you know, not having the teleport makes it very hard to sustain through lane. Don't be surprised to see a CSD grow between mid laners, especially when you get towards, you know, like the first little, I'd say half item spikes, you know, like a Sheen or, you know, whatever it may be for the Aurelia. But at a certain point, Hayri will still be strong, and he isn't going to be side laning, which I think is pretty good for the Bombers, as their mid lane has gone Ignite as well.
And Ryoma getting a good bit of damage down to Hayri, kind of opening himself up to that opportunity. Knows that Praelis was there, goes back in, throws out the Vanguard's edge, looking for this 1 versus 2, jumps back to the minions, and Hayri has to burn everything to get away.
Ryoma legitimately just bests them 1v2, but unfortunately for Gravitas, it was a bit of a bait from Praelis onto Hayri. You know, the Vladimir sitting there didn't have to use his ultimate.
Oh, flash forwards, doesn't find him with the duet, throws down the Ignite, and it will be close.
But it's a 20 CSD now. That was 10 before that fight happened. So the force in mid lane from Gravitas, because Ryoma is just so capable of rolling with the punches, fights back, pushes him away, and even though he doesn't get the kill, he forces another recall from a non-teleport member, and suddenly, in a commanding position, is this mid lane 1v1.
Yeah, it just has such control over what Irelia can do. Like, just watching his interactions underneath tower, throwing out the duet at the right time, like, knowing the range of the tower and then still being able to stun and harass is pretty crazy. I mean, like, Irelia is one of those champions where you can play it, like, one of two ways, right? Like, you're the person who just walks up into mid lane, queues all the minions, and throws out ultimate, you know? And, like, you can be an effective Irelia just by doing that, but there's also, like, the Irelias who take it a step further and, like, see everything, you know? Like, they have that 25 vision, and they can just, like, literally see every opportunity, every minion is a potential jump. And yeah, Ryoma is definitely one of those players.
Felt like he was a step ahead of both of them during that skirmish as well, but it's the use of the minions, really, that separate the good from the great when it comes to Aurelia's in laning phase. So very good stuff from him. Of course, that buys a whole lot of time for the Bombers to go over and get themselves an objective, basically from just the play in that mid lane. Everything going very well for them right now, though it hasn't resulted in many kills, just that first blood.
Yeah, it's more just like a feel, you know, like the control over the game. Because like you look at this, and yes, there's only one kill and one dragon, but you'd be like, well, Bombers firmly in the lead, top lane winning, mid lane winning, bot lane we actually just haven't really seen much from because everything's been happening.
But isn't that good for Bombers?
Exactly,
you know?
right? Like you look at so time Kent said perhaps a bit of a risk, but the fact that it is quiet is a good thing.
Yeah, because, you know, when we come into draft, and we mentioned this already, it's that probably that, you know, Gravitas could play towards bot side if they wanted very easily. It's a Lucian and a Yuumi. Like, they could play aggressively towards that area of the map, and Bombers want to play on the opposite side. But Bombers get the first gank. It's successful. And that probably just changed the entire dynamic of how Gravitas, you know, wanted to play on the map. So suddenly they're playing for mid, but the Aurelia is able to handle them, and things just going perfectly as a result. The end, really, for the side of Bombers, even though it's 1-0. And for Gravitas, it's just they really need to find a winning area more than anything else, you know? Break turret plates if it is down in bottom lane, bring attention somewhere on the map, but they can't teleport through their mid lane, or it probably has to involve Parbu in some way.
Kratos not quite finding his opportunity in the mid lane. But again, I'm still not like looking at this 1 versus 2 and thinking that Gravis has 100% have it, right? Like, Praelis, he doesn't have a huge amount of health right now. This is not a tanky Silas. And Aroma in a pretty good position for himself. But yeah, we're going to go pretty much back to neutral here. Still 30 CS difference in the mid lane as Vladimir is still getting pushed back. He just have a wave going towards him, but he just keeps getting harassed down into almost instantaneous kill range for Ryoma as he's just gotten Ignite back up.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have a lot of health to his name. Of course, starting with the Doran's Ring does give a little bit, and he's gone for the Seekers next. So builds armor, which is handy unless that Aurelia has 4 stacks on the passive, and then there's true damage to compensate anyway. So continuing to see a CSD grow in that mid lane is no surprise to me. But seeing the solo objectives taken by Wilder with no contest from their opponents in Gravitas is a surprise. But it means that they just honestly feel like they can't do anything. Top lane has prio, mid lane has permanent wave prio as well in mid lane. Like, this is a disaster unless something starts to shift in terms of just, you know, it'll be 100 gold at a time for the next 10 minutes, but suddenly that'll be 7,000 gold.
Yeah, just kind of like passively over this game, you know, if nothing really happens here for Gravitas. It will just slowly get further and further out of control. And yeah, mid lane is just an absolute clinic on how to play Aurelia. This is pretty absurd, to be honest. Yeah, Harry not having a good time. And it's not even like Harry is a particularly weak mid laner. Like, I've seen
he popped off
so
last
many
week.
highlight clips of Harry just, yeah, exactly, you know, having huge performances on like the likes of Azir. And Bombers all of a sudden just rock up to mid lane, 4 people plus Shelly. 5-man stack right now, and this mid tower not long for this world. There's a bit of a defense coming out here from Gravitas, but yeah, that's a swift breeze from falling over.
Yeah, for me, ultimately, Parbu moving towards mid lane without the use of teleport is what saves the tower there, because he is just going to play the numbers game, and Mimic's staying topside, looking to push a wave in. You know, will get himself closer to another plate, but didn't want to have to teleport to potential play in mid lane. So take the damage, call it a day. Good little move there from Bombers, but not breaking the turret. I would say is just unfortunate for them. Really, they can go back to that later.
Yeah, will require a repeat there, but we'll also say that Ryoma has been slowly chipping away at it just by virtue of constantly pushing Vladimir in.
Yeah,
so
the minions every wave.
yeah, if that continues to happen, it's probably like, you know, 2 or 3 waves away from just naturally falling over. Decoy just waiting for the guards to go past before he wanders back into lane, but Wilder also here on the Tremor Sense. Pops over the wall, did see Praelis right there, so just matching the enemy jungler. But yeah, I mean, for Wilder, it's just upkeep, you know. Walk to the lane, see what's going on. If it doesn't get the gank, it's fine, you know. The game's still going your way, but...
Control ward placed in the lane bush here means they can get this off. They're looking.
They toss out the U ultimate, get the lockdown. Root's there. Luch turning around the crescendo, though. And here comes Mimic out from the top lane. Wilder also turning to play a 3 versus 4 now. Pabu jumps in, but is about to get knocked over by Wilder. And Raid, the only surviving member, walks away. 2 more kills to the Bombers.
It felt like a big game of chicken where Bombers were first to react and they really wanted to continue that play back. The counterpunch just far too strong coming out of them. 3-0, gold lead stretching again, and plates for a Sona in this bottom lane. And an Infernal Dragon as well. Gravitas have no answers.
All right, now Bombers are taking everything away from them. I mean, I like to see the proactivity there from Gravitas to try and make a play happen, but it went from bad to worse now. 2 dragons, 3 kills, plates left, right, and center.
That's all you really can say, right?
Gold, almost 5,000 gold here for Bombers.
Like, at the end of the day, I think what you said is the only real takeaway you can have. It's good that Gravitas tried to be proactive. It's good that they tried to make that play, but that play only nets them a counter that they lose things from, you know? And what do they do next? Because it was meant to be bottom lane where they make the plays. That was meant to be where they're stronger. But they did it at 13 minutes where the Sona's already started farming, had the tier stacked. You know, they've got some levels into them as well. And they've hit those level breakpoints where they're just so hard to kill.
Looking for a potential another setup on top side, though. Got the duo lane swapping up there into Mimic. He's actually just disappearing now into like a wall, however. Pops the wall. Throws out a ward. Sees Gravitas. I'll take that ultimate. Kratos now has perfect execution. Dasher himself. Mid lane, also just getting pushed in as well. I mean, that tower is so low now.
Yeah, Hayri's actually tanking the minions to ensure that they don't hit the turret ever. Any opportunity for any kind of wave to hit a turret means that their opponents could actually step up perhaps and push him away, just break it while he's not prepared to fight. Praylis also going to be working very hard to secure vision on this top side area. And the swap from Gravitas with their bottom lane up the top side is usually a sign of, well, we need to do this now. We need to try and flip the map up in some way, but they can't flip the map for a Rift Herald. It's already gone. So really it is just about getting to an area of the map first, to be able to place vision first, to make your opponents come towards you.
Great, getting a good amount of damage onto Luch, but if you don't kill Sona, she'll be back to full health in
heal.
About 50 seconds. So that's just the Sona life right there. I believe the Sona still has the lowest base HP of any champion in the game.
I think that is true besides Kled and Mininar, who are exceptions, right?
Well,
because
yeah,
one has
I feel
double
like
the
Kled
health
doesn't
bar.
count, but Nar maybe, right? Does Nar really have?
I think so. He's somewhere at the
than
bottom.
Sona?
It may just be resistances. I know that Mininar has like the lowest armor and MR, I believe.
Yeah, I think Gangplank pre-rework actually had the lowest. Flash there for Wilder, knock-up as well, almost instantaneous kill down to Praylis. Hayri backing away, but once he's out of the Sanguine Pool, goes into the Zonias actually, but Luch tanking the tower, flash away by Hayri. Pabu coming in from the bottom side as well. Somehow 0 casualties, but there will be one in the form of this tower.
Yeah, first turret of the game goes down pretty easily to Bombers, and you're right, well, no one dies. The health bars are so low that they can't really do anything about it. They can't stop the state of the map, and it goes to a 6,000 gold lead. Looking towards Bombers' play right now, it's just, to me, it's crazy to think we're only 16 minutes in with the lead that they have. It feels like they should be able to set up for Baron right now, and there's nothing Gravitas could do. And I think that's honestly true. If Baron was alive at 16 minutes, I think they'd be able to get it.
To be honest, you know, you could replace that 1 in front of the 6 with a 3, and you'd be like, yeah, makes sense, you know? That's a pretty healthy lead at 36 minutes into the game, but Bombers have just accelerated this so much, you know? And, like, on a 1-tower game, you don't really expect to see, like, a lead that big, but every lane is winning in CS. Like, literally, like, every role. Apart from, bottom lane.
But they're not actually far off.
That's a different case.
They're not far off, and they've got the Klepto Spell Thieves.
Klepto, Spell Thieves.
And Targots, right? The relic buffs.
Multiple sources of income. That's how
pretty much
personal
everyone
finance told me to live my life. Oh, bottom lane, looking for the hook shot. Pabu backing away. Dodges one source of damage, but, I mean, you can't dodge everything. Perfect execution and Void Rush coming through. Pabu drops like a ton of bricks. 0-3, and it's just really had a rough laning phase. I mean, constant ganks from Wilder.
Yeah, frankly, this was expected. Gravitas were trying to bring Praelus to the area where Wilder was, maybe match the junglers, and maybe it prolongs the death of that turret, as Praelus may well lose this. We'll see. He's got the Rek'Sai ultimate.
Yep, so 1 versus 1 right now. Toss out the Prey Seeker. In comes Rogue's well flash. Hits him with the tongue lash. But no one is really there to follow up, unfortunately. But it sent a message to Praelus. Burns his own flash as well. Goes back to base.
Certainly did. Praelus has been forced to retreat, so we'll take that. No complaints from the side of Bombers, but yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, Gravitas, their only play was to try and slow their opponents down. It's to stem the bleeding at this point, and they can't even do that. The damage is just so high. The item spikes and level spikes are there for Mimic, and so Pabu, unfortunately, passive shield or not, is not going to save him from all of the burst. And then Praelus is now just on that side of the map trying to maybe catch a wave, slow it down further, but he has to flash away. There's no winning from Gravitas in that situation. The numbers game is the only way that they'll realistically get anything back on the Rift at all. Because we're actually... It'd be weird to say this given how much of the map is still left alive, but it still feels like we're getting close to a perfect game from Bombers.
I was just about to say that. I was about to throw back to the LPL where I'd say that all the time to you,
Yeah.
and you would look at me and it was an LPL game where you're like, well, there's going to be 60
Impossible.
more kills. And I would say it at 10 minutes every single time. But here we go, Ryoma in the top lane, 1 versus 2 right now. Hayri Low already gone into the pool. Mimic following after, but the Ignite's going to get it, turns around, and throws out the double with a single assist going to Mimic, who just turns up and slaps someone for the assist.
Yeah, Mimic just gives a high five to Ryoma, says, good job, mate. Enjoy the 1v2
Let me
kills.
hit him once.
Now the top outer turret's going to fall as well. Maybe Pabu on the bottom side will be able to get the turret down as Mimic did teleport, so something can go the way of Gravitas, and it will, thankfully, for them a bit of gold. But the cost may be very high for this move of Pabu. It may have been a sacrifice of his life for that turret.
Oof. Good flash timing out from Pabu. They're basically looking for that intersect there by Wilder, had just locked on like a guided missile. And yeah, we'll get away. So the perfect game is up. Unfortunately, tower down. Good job, Pabu.
This is what happens when we say
It is, yeah. That's why we have to
Shouldn't
stay
have said
silent.
anything.
If you didn't, I was going to say.
Yeah.
20 minutes, though, and it is all but,
It's
a
also
perfect game.
2 Mountain Dragons and an Infernal for Bombers with the Barret up, so
Pretty ridiculous.
what more could you possibly want if you're there?
It's literally just like, if you were trying to speedrun League of Legends, this would probably be the way,
This is just a good day to be a Bombers fan, is what I would take from this. If everything continues on the trajectory that it has, Pabu's dead, you start to see Bombers in this form, back-to-back weeks. You're like, we're getting closer and closer to split 1 Bombers
Yep.
all over again. But it's just a different style of play. What I mean by split 1 is that they won. They were the best. They're just...
Ah, yes, the classic win style.
I mean, that is the way that it works for all the best teams in the world.
That's true. Mimic just kind of hovering around right now, seeing if anyone's going to contest him. Looks like a no, so just going to keep hitting the turret. And 7 kills to 0 right now. Decoying Praelus. Yeah. Death just approaches.
I mean, that's how you know a team's far enough ahead. They've got vision control, Gravitas. They can't defend their own vision. They're just trying to keep maybe one little way through the jungle, through the red side jungle, to get to the Baron buff. That's all they would really want for themselves. I think best way to get back into this game is a steal of the Baron, because with Baron, I think the game genuinely just ends.
Yep. There are so many holes in this sinking ship right now.
There's only 5 buckets.
There are only 5 buckets. And they have holes in them.
They
too.
do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, Bombers.
It's
complete
teaspoons.
Control out. Yeah, teaspoons. It's not great. And Bombers have just played this to perfection, to be honest. I mean, like, it's just constant flow and tempo. We talk about tempo as something you save up and you spend, but like, in terms of, oh, was this a kill that we just missed?
Yeah, this was when Mimic killed Pabu. It looks like he actually cancelled the hook shot onto the wall, if I saw that correctly. Did have to use the flash for it, but
I played that like a horror film,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You speak about tempo. That's what it provides you. It provides you a faster reset. It provides you, residual vision control because of that as well, and lets you set up in areas such as where Mimic was to go for those picks. So the byproduct of that is another solo kill, another kill given to Mimic. 3-0-2 on the Akali.
It really is just a horror film.
They've got wards. Gravitas do have wards. There's no jump scares in this yet. They're actually going bot lane.
Oh no, Harry. This is why you never split up from the rest of the group. Have you learned nothing from Scooby-Doo?
And can I just say as well that they're going onto Mimic as 3, and Harry was caught at the same time on the other side of the map, so he had more reasons to leave the area, as it's his team trying to make the play. This could go for a while.
Yeah, Mimic has opened up so much distance, and Pabu is also on his tail, but the rest of his team is a good distance away from him. Decoy comes up here for what is essentially a 4 versus 1, and Mimic is running them around the entire map. He has gone from outer turret all the way to inhibitor, turns around, dodges the Yui ultimate, now in stealth, 3 versus 1, is still alive, 4 versus 1, finally dies, and after 40 seconds of running around, Bombers say, okay, well, I guess we'll just take the Baron.
And finally the yakety sax music stops as Mimic does eventually go down, but he buys so much time for his team, right? No doubt the shot calling was just go and take the Baron, guys. We'll be here for a while. 7 years later, it's all secured, and while he doesn't have the Baron buff, I don't think it matters too much, as they're still going to be in a powerful enough position, and he doesn't really need the Baron buff minions to be able to win the 1v1.
What a nightmare. Almost 10,000 gold ahead, basically 10,000 gold ahead right now, with Baron on a power play. Let's take a look at the gold, actually, shall we? Mid lane, 11,000 to 7,500.
We're nearing the flame horizon in mid lane.
Bottom lane, the Sona lane, is only barely behind by 500 gold.
Well, if we're looking at AD and carry specifically, but with the support difference, it actually puts him ahead.
There you go. Yeah. I'd actually really like to know how much he got from both Klepto and Spellthief, because you know a lot of it's from that, obviously.
Absolutely. We don't have that technology here.
No, we don't. But what Bombers do have is everything in the Gravitas jungle. Can't even access their own wolves right now.
Yeah. You know, this is one of those games where you want to say it's just a massacre. They have just completely smacked their opponents around. But for me, it's more like a complete deconstruction of their opponents, you know? They have just piece by piece torn Gravitas apart. They can't make plays. They can't react to plays. They're desperate now, so they're going to have to. But I don't think anything works at this point. They've just been dismantled consistently and so well.
And it's in like every single regard as well. Gravitas
they're
are looking
hunting
for their one opportunity right here. They find Wilder, he flashes away. Can they take him down? He's still alive. Goes as a Void Rush, and the entire team explodes. Triple kill coming in for the Akali. Harry trying to dodge, dip, and dive out of this fight, but 3 kills over to the Bombers.
And there was a small pixel between Mimic hitting that E and getting a pentakill and not, because he just barely missed that E on the backside. 3 kills go over to the Akali. You'd have to look at this and say, the game may well just be over with the Baron minions pushing in the bottom lane, and they're hunting for it now.
Oh, he's trying for it. Harry goes into Sanguine Pool, but is swiftly taken down by Luch. Decoy nowhere to go once he detaches. Double kill out for the Sona. Not a bad scoreline to end 2-0-5, same as the mid lane. 12-2, 25 minutes, and a near flawless game coming out of the Bombers. We'll take game 1 of the weekend. But first, they've got to just style on Gravitas real quick to pad their scorelines. There it is. The win.
Only 2 kills given over to Gravitas. A single turret stolen away from them as well. Close to the perfect game, and you wouldn't have it any other way from Bombers. Can I just say, after a game like that, that is terrifying. That is a Bombers that no one would ever want to play against in the form that they're currently in. That's just scary.
Bombers, for me, it's exponential growth in the last, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks now. You know, something clicked. And now they're just one of the best, if not the best, just team straight up.
Yeah, I mean, integrating new players into the roster is never going to be the easiest thing to do. One of them out of retirement as well in a role swap. You know, the other one being an import from Korea. So,
yeah.
like, take that into account and say we hit week 7. They've really hit their stride. This is exactly where the Bombers want to be. You know, you'd be happy that they're peaking now to get as high as they can in the standings before the gauntlet starts. Because realistically, the further up you are, the more buys you get, the better time you're going to have in the gauntlet run. And with the current form that the Bombers are in, that's exactly what they're set to do right now. They're poised to really challenge the top dogs in terms of team strength. It'll be hard for them to catch them in terms of points on the ladder, but they're well and truly on the way.
I just wonder, you know, like, is this the team that just goes international, right? And then it's just like, hey, look, you know, Bombers international again, but like the story has been very different, you know. It was like, this is a new Bombers, but yeah, by what? Yeah, week 7, I'd say by week 5, actually, this team really came back into their own.
Yeah.
And it's really just crazy, Like, I feel like this league has been so dominated by, like, the likes of Mammoth, those type of teams. But all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Bombers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's a different coach, 2 different players as well. So it's not even the infrastructure that's been exactly the same, but the improvements have been very noticeable from them. And for me, I look at the solo laners of Bombers and I'd say they've stepped up the most. But Wilder also being able to slot in as an aggressive piece onto that chessboard has been wonderful for them.
I would just say impressive would be the word I would use, to be honest. But that's it from us. We're going to send it over to Nick Boy with a player interview.
Incredibly impressive. You're smoking. You're hot right now. You're in a much better mood than you were the last time you came in here when you also won.
No, I played better individually this time, so I felt better, a bit better.
How are you feeling about this patch?
I think this patch is kind of similar to the same. Like, it's just all about like the flexes, and yeah, like it's just we just play strong topside, so like it just benefits us. So like we play like Akali, Aurelia, we can flex all that, and then we just have a strong topside, and yeah, that's all we want.
And so why do you feel like you played better this week than last week? Like what just clicked for you?
I just felt like I needed to play with more confidence, like just especially as me as a player. Like I feel like I just have to make sure I'm on my make sure I'm doing good in the individual level. Like sometimes as a pro, like you kind of fall off sometimes if you get complacent, and yeah. So like,
do you feel like you had been getting complacent, or
I just felt like I've been lacking in like skill. So like compared to like every other mid. So like
I mean, we've been talking about it here. That we think you're just trash.
Yeah, I feel like I just needed to just try harder, especially in this like OPL game. I just needed to make sure I don't miss the ass, like little basic stuff, and just make sure I just do everything right.
And you're now like it's Mammoth, Chiefs, and you guys. You can now taste it here because there was a bit of a run there where it felt like, oh, maybe it is getting away from you, but it is within reach. Do you reckon you can get that?
I think Mammoth are a good team. They definitely have probably the best mid game in like the league, but they do have their weaknesses. Like
name all of them.
I can't say. That's for us to know.
Oh,
for you guys to find out.
What about just emotionally? Then? Like, how could we make them cry?
I don't know. They're all pretty strong people. I don't know.
You're being very polite.
No, I feel like we as a team, we have our weaknesses as well.
What are your weaknesses?
I can't say that too.
Okay, fine. I'm never finding out any pro player's weakness. Yes, sorry, go ahead. You think they're very good?
Yeah, I think they're very good. I think the top 4 teams are looking pretty good. I think everyone has their own strengths. And it's just like all about who can punish them, honestly. Like everyone plays their own style, and it's just about like who can punish where like they're strong at.
All right, beautiful. Well, congratulations on your win. It's good to see you here in a better mood than last time, and we'll be back after this.
The game's still going your way, but
Control ward placed in the lane bush here means they can get this off. They're looking.
they toss out the Yum ultimate, get the lockdown. Root's there. Luke's turning around the crescendo, though. And here comes Mimic out from the top lane. Wilder also turns to play a 3 versus 4 now. Pabu jumps in, but is about to get knocked over by Wilder. I would say it at 10 minutes every single time. But here we go, Ryan in the top lane. 1 versus 2 right now. Hayri Low already gone into the pool. Mimic following after, but Ignite's going to get it, turns around, and throws out the double with a single assist going to Mimic guard as well. Gravitas
they're
looking
hunting
for their one opportunity right here to find Wilder. He flashes away. Can they take him down? He's still alive. Goes as a Void Rush, and the entire team explodes. Triple kill coming in for the Akali. Hayri trying to dodge. Dip.
The game may well just be over with the Baron minions pushing in the bottom lane, and they're hunting for it now.
Oh, he's trying for it. Hayri goes into Sanguine Pool, but is swiftly taken down by Luch. Decoy nowhere to go once he detaches. Double kill out for the Sona. Not a bad scoreline to N205, same as the mid lane. 12-2, 25 minutes, and a near flawless game coming out of the Bombers. We'll take game 1 of the weekend. But first, they've got to just style on Gravitas real quick to pad their scorelines. There it is.
At Macca's, our burgers are now hotter, juicier, and tastier, with onions added at the grill for more flavour, perfectly melted cheese, and softer buns. They're the best Macca's burgers ever.
Ace trainer Cody Castle in the chat says, I like the OPL studio more than